tell us between now and the fall of 2015, agenda setting will take place. Give us a take on promising short-term actions to facilitate that resilience does make it on the agenda. Later on, maybe then the post-2015.
Well,
what's good short-term action from this community?
Yeah. Think about, look at the agenda and look what is going on. Do your timing, okay? Have your strategy, focus, and be bold and pragmatic. That is my advice to you. We, as CFS, are not involved officially. Nevertheless, we invited the Secretary General of the UN to address CFS, and he was happy to do this. And he said, well, have an eye on New York, communicate both with your capitals and the people negotiating in New York. Do your timing and be there if the need is there. I'm sure that the topic, the goals should be food and nutrition security and other goals, of course. But resilience should be in the agenda, because that is an instrument to make it happen. Just as investment in gender and investment in governance should be on the agenda, not as targets or goals themselves, but as instruments to make it happen in a sustainable and durable way.
Yeah. Well, I think it has become very clear that resilience has something to offer to reach all of the goals currently under debate, more efficient and more effective.
Yes, but let me add then one thing. Let us try not to make resilient the new buzzword.
Oh, no.
Let it be very pragmatic. Let it walk on its own feet, because resilience to water scarcity is something else than resilience to man-made disasters or war, etc. It depends on the topic. Put it there.
I think that's very good advice. Let's not overdo resilience. Let's push for resilience without talking resilience all the time. Anyway, colleagues, Laura, do we have any questions, comments from the audience? Just say so. Can we get voice over there, although it's not farmers?
Sorry? Administration.
Come here, come here. Rajul, how are we doing on time? Can you switch on the clock here so that we keep it on track?
Sure, okay,
about
now it's
15
working.
minutes to go.
Okay, we have a number
Please, listen. Go ahead.
Yes. The first question is, if resilience is not a goal, how do we make it stick? Will the pull to relief and development investment keep crowding it out? How can we prevent this?
Hold it. That's important enough. Stefan, would you like to take this on? If resilience is not a goal, how do we make it stick? How do we translate it into action? Apparently, a person who asked that question thinks we are all goal-oriented and take the instrument and the action for granted. So how do we make it stick? How do we make it work?
To make it more pragmatic, I would say we have to empower people. Empower people, that is, and we have to invest it. All partners have to invest it. We as a donor have to play a role, and others have to play a role. What we as donors first and foremost can do is, of course, we can provide money, and that's what we are now happy to be able to do. The new German development minister, Gerd Müller, announced to invest at least 1 billion euros per year for rural development, agriculture and food security programs. Main areas of activities are, and there it becomes clear what that means to empower people. First is strengthen innovation, not only in agriculture, but along the whole agriculture and food value chain. Support rural transformation. Not focus on agriculture alone, it is on non-farm growth as well. Second, protect and sustainable use of natural resources in rural areas with a special focus on soil health. I think this is particularly important to link this environment and development agenda. Of course, protecting the environment, soils, biodiversity, that means giving people the means to live a better life and protect the planet for the future generations to come. Second point, responsible governance of tenure of land. Of course, that is important for many people. People need the resources, they need access to the resources. And last but not least, food and nutrition security for all people, not only for those who live under conditions of protracted crisis and exceptional regional shocks, but for all hungry and malnourished people living, in particular in countryside that has for far too long been neglected, forgotten, and ignored.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you. Herder, you asked for specificity. Was it specific enough what they put on the agenda for their billion?
Who?
Stefan?
Yes, I think it is specific enough, but I would say it should be our goal to also bring programs and projects together. I agree with the leader of the smallholder organizations that all the projects and the programs are too scattered around. Let us try to create a network so that we can start monitoring and measurement. Because this is not about the donor community. I'm sure that donors will invest in programs they believe that can bring change at grassroots on the longer term, not only short term, but they're looking for concrete solutions, and I'm happy about this.
Okay. I believe we have the last question of this conference. Go ahead.
Is there a case for a global funding basket to match the idea of a multi-stakeholder approach?
Is there a case for a global funding basket? I believe there is, and Herder has already touched on this. We need a global agenda, and for that we need global funding, the donors coming together. I don't throw this at you, but you would like to...
Yeah, I just wanted to say that there is an actual item, which is item 15, which is means of implementation, global partnership for sustainable development. But if I could also make a small comment on the previous question, my impression is that if we believe in it, we should push for resilience to be put in the first area, the one on poverty, because my impression is that that one, the other ones we can still put it as instruments and testing things, but that one to be as a goal, I think would be great. We would still need to address, I mean, we're all saying we're converging, we're agreeing, but it wouldn't be an interesting meeting if there wasn't some disagreement. My impression is that pushing resilience to the maximums, that meaning no risk and you're going to thrive in any case, is maybe even not a desirable achievement, but in any case would not be something that we can
Sure.
aim for.
And the earthquakes and climate change will not permit that anyway. Yeah. Michael, I'll start with you. We have a minute each. We walk against this clock here. Your take on what action items are on top to get building resilience for food and nutrition security on the agenda, keeping it there, and making it meaningful with teeth. Okay. So that's the purpose, the sense of purpose of this panel. Go ahead.
Thanks, Joachim, and maybe I'll
You have
answer.
to be very selective.
I will answer the question that was just asked, which I think is very similar to the question that you're asking, and I would say I think three things are needed if we want to make resilience stick in the post-2015 Sustainable Development Agenda. The first, I think we need to look at each one of the focus areas, We need to look at the individual goals that are going to be discussed and negotiated, and we need to make sure that those goals, the related indicators and targets, are resilience sensitive. The second thing we need to do is to look at how the goals actually interact. Again, we've heard about how resilience is about multi-stakeholder, multi-sectoral, multi-level, and I think that it's critical to ensure that the goals on health and agriculture, on nutrition, on water, on energy, on all those other things that are going to be covered by the SDGs work together properly to support the kind of resilience that we're looking for. And then finally, I think want to talk about accountability and the importance of making sure that we build in strong accountability mechanisms so that we invest in resilience and then we track the progress that we're making. And I think I just want to throw out two examples, Joachim. One is I think we should invest in existing mechanisms as much as possible, and I think there's some good ones out there. One is the Hunger Nutrition Commitment Index, developed by IDS, and I think it's covered nicely in IFPRI's Global Food Policy Report in a box by Lawrence Haddad, which tracks the effort of governments to achieve food security and nutrition. And I think effort is important because we're not going to achieve resilience tomorrow. It's a multi-year process, and I think effort as well as the results and the outcomes are important. And then the only other one that I want to refer to right now is the UN Commission on Information and Accountability for Women's and Children's Health. I think this is another good example of a high-level political mechanism to ensure accountability for results and resources of international assistance. Okay. And as you know, it was chaired by President of Tanzania, Kikwete, and Prime Minister Harper of Canada. And I think it set some good standards.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.